Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day today. Welcome to our podcast for the week. I have an incredibly special guest with us today. Her name is Rachel Kent, otherwise known as my mum. Hi, Mum. Now, my mum is here today to talk to us about a very common issue that many women in Australia go through, and it's something that's not often talked about. So my mum has done us a wonderful favour, and she's come in, and we're going to talk about an experience that she and like many women in Australia go through every year. In fact, around 1,600 women in Australia are diagnosed with this particular type of breast cancer, otherwise known as DCIS, ductal and carcinoma in situ. Would you like to explain what that is? What is that?
What it is a tiny little bit of cancer that forms in your milk duct. And there is always possibilities that it might go into the lymph vessels as well. Depends whether it's encapsulated and kept within there, but most generally it's encapsulated and kept within there. It is if you have to have breast cancer, it is the easiest breast cancer to fix.
It's also known as what they call grade 0 breast cancer. Non-life threatening, however, if left untreated, can become an invasive type of breast cancer further down the track. So it is actually quite common.
And I was lucky that they caught it early.
Yes, you were. So obviously there's always a journey with this type of thing. Now yours started back in November. And so tell our audience how you came to find that this is how you came about this diagnosis.
Because it felt lumpy under the right side.
Yes.
So I went to the doctor, sent me off for a scan. I said, look, I feel lumpy under here. She scans away, and she goes, no, nothing. I go, yes, there's a lump here. But turns out, she said, no, that's just hard sinew. She said, there's nothing there. But she said, while you're here, she said, we always check the other breast. So she checks the other breast and she goes, ooh, that looks suspicious. And I see a little black dot on the screen and I go, And she says, I'll just call the doctor. And the doctor comes in and he goes, that looks suspicious. He says, I think we better do a biopsy right now. And I just went, oh, I've got breast cancer. I just knew
My mother,
away.
just for the audience, can be a little bit melodramatic at times. She went straight in for the worst, didn't wait for results, and just went, oh, well, this is it. Didn't you?
I did. I've got breast cancer. I just knew 2 + 2.
Yeah.
And so they did the biopsy, big, thick needle in your breast, that's a little bit uncomfortable. And said 48 hours I'll get the test results. So, of course, Julie, the receptionist, rings and says, come in and see the doctor tomorrow. 2 + 2 + 2, that's now 6. Yeah, I've definitely got breast cancer.
I'm on the phone on the other end, mind you, going, calm down, Mum. Let's just wait to get the results. Mum's already going, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Just chill out. Yeah. Let's just wait and see first of all.
And I grew up on a farm, so I'm very logical about life and death.
Yes.
So I kind of probably freaked my GP out when I walked into the thing and said, oh, well, bugger me, Matthew, I've got breast cancer.
So well, hang on a minute. We'll just go back a little bit. All right. So tell our audience when you actually got the result and you went in to see the doctor. What really was your initial reaction?
I wasn't in the least bit bothered. I truly wasn't, because I'm like, if I make it to 80, absolutely wonderful. But if cancer takes me out in my 70s, I'm very philosophical about life and death and where my soul's journey, fate, destiny. When you start getting to retirement age and you're in retirement, you do not know what's going to get dished up to you health-wise. You just don't.
Yeah, look, I find this is quite a common, what's the word I'm looking for? A common way of thinking for older people. Sorry, Mum, but you're older. But I do find, even through the COVID years, we found a lot of older people were just like, well, I've had a good life. I've seen my kids grow up, and not saying they're ready to go, but they're very pragmatic about life's journey.
Some are.
Yeah.
Remember we watched that really good Chris Hemsworth episode about acceptance of death.
Yes.
And so yes, I have an acceptance of death because I know where my soul goes to on the next part of the journey. So I wasn't fazed by it. I didn't cry about it. It's just and I've always had this motto whereby, what's the solution? Fix it, get on with it.
Yeah. Well, that will kind of lead us on to the next question, or a couple of questions down the track. So, where you've had your diagnosis, you've accepted that that's what it is. So tell our audience what that procedure was like. Like, how did you feel actually, participating in the removal of...
Okay, so they were very efficient. Because of all the COVID stuff that's gone down, you have this belief that, oh my God, the health system is not going to be there for you. I don't have medical insurance, so I was reliant on just
Public health. Yep.
Within 10 days, I had an appointment at the breast clinic.
Yep.
They explained all the whys and wherefores of it. This is what we can do for you. We can treat the symptom. We can't tell you what the cause is. That's your journey to try and find a cause, but we'll treat the symptom. And within 3 weeks, the operation, half-hour operation, and they cut it out.
Okay, and were you under a local or general anaesthetic for that?
General anaesthetic, absolutely general anaesthetic. Yep.
And that was at Robina, wasn't it?
That was at Robina Hospital. Yes, and I can't say enough about their service and their follow through and things like that. It's just that I chose not to go down the medical path any further than that, and to do some supplements and different protocols to try and create some sort of effect.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So, knowing you like I do, and obviously I know the answer to this, but our audience doesn't. So, knowing you like I do, what other forms of therapy, complementary therapy, any kind of therapy, whether it have been medical, nutraceutical, like what else did you look at, and what did you do to help support the medical treatment that you were undertaking?
All right, so my surgeon was quite adamant really that I undertake 6 weeks of radiation. I said, well, no to that. Let me tell you what happened to my sister, who had exactly the same thing as me 7 years ago with no genetic relationship.
What did happen to her?
What happened to her is that it took the marrow out of her rib cage, so she walks around as if she's got broken ribs all the time. With the pain of that, it damaged her heart valve. She had a heart attack. Tiny, skinny, little, weedy little thing that she is. She had a heart attack. So she had ongoing side effects from the radiation. They then wanted me to take the estrogen inhibitors. And again, I said, well, let me tell you what that did to my sister. She had days she couldn't even remember who she was. She couldn't even walk some days for the pain that was in her muscles and her joints. And so the surgeon said, well, yes, there was a bit of pain with that. We'll get you through the 6 weeks. We'll talk you through the 6 weeks. Most women find after 6 weeks that they're okay with that. And I was like...
So you're thinking, hang on, grade 0.
Yeah, it's a bit toxic to be putting into my body. And they were quite adamant that they wanted to take 2 breast lymph nodes as well. And I'm like, but they're healthy. Well, we don't know they're healthy until we test them. And I go, but what's the chances of them not being healthy? And they said about 8%. And I went, well, do you know what? I'm going to run with the 8%. And if it comes back to bite me in my bum, so be it. That's the choice I've made at the time. That's what I'm going to run with. So I said no to all other procedures medically, like through the health industry, and decided, okay, what can I do over on the supplement side? So the very first thing I did was I went sugar-free.
So before you go into what your protocol is, I will share with everybody that my mother is very well versed in reading. She has done an incredible amount of reading and research, even before this, over the last 30 years, in cancers, HIV, just disease, all of those kinds of things. So you had quite a wealthy depth of knowledge about health and illnesses and other protocols.
I read all the time.
And you read all the time. So what you did was you actually went back over a lot of that material to bring yourself back up to date.
Just to affirm what I had in my head.
Which was what helped you take the next stages and choose the protocols that you chose.
That's it, yeah. So the first thing was a bit of addiction to biscuits and having a biscuit.
A bit?
A cup of coffee. So no biscuits, no crackers. Out they all went through my cupboard, threw all my coconut and icing sugar and everything out.
But you have fought a sugar addiction for many years, and this was one of the things that you actually thought that one of the causes of the lump, because again, it is known that cancer does feed on sugar. So that was your first.
First thing was Oh, this was the sugar, no sugar. And I went on a 4-day water fast. So I ate nothing for 4 days to starve the cancer.
Is that because you thought you were trying to be like
Chris Hemsworth? I thought if Chris Hemsworth could do it, I could do it. and surprisingly, it wasn't that difficult. I actually wasn't hungry. I found that at midday and at 6 o'clock at night, I was thinking about food, but I wasn't actually hungry because I was just drinking 3 litres of water a day. And wow, the stuff that flushed through my system through those 4 days was amazing. And so now on Thursdays, I actually do a fast-free day on Thursdays. So I've sort of followed that up.
I remember when you got to day 4, you were starting to feel a bit weak.
Yes, weak and shaky. That's the symptoms. And I just went, because I was hoping to go 5 days. And I thought, oh God, no, I'll stop at the 4 days. So that was another one. Then,
but just before you continue with that, I just want to go back to when they did the first scan of your lump. Your lump measured how many millimetres?
11 millimetres.
11 millimetres. Okay, carry on.
11
millimetres.
And then I happened to meet a nice bloke who got me onto a protocol, like a liquid protocol, where I took a little shot glass of this every day, and it had things like curcumin and quercetin and got all these different vitamin C, all these different ingredients in this. So I took that shot every day. For the 3 weeks. I still always have done for such a long time, taken 2 turmeric a day, so I kept up with that. What else did I do? Oh, that's right, I bought some brushwood, a brushwood berry tincture. Apparently it's a new thing that's been found up in the Northern Territory that is very good for breast cancer. So I was rubbing that in every morning and every night. What else? Infusion? I went and had a bioresonance test. I went and had a thermal imaging test.
That's right. You went to see, what's the lovely lady's name? Jessica. Yes. Jessica.
Yes, indeed. And just to make sure there was no other cancers anywhere else, and no, there wasn't. But they told me I had a clogged up lymphatic system, which I have to work on. So we'll get there with that.
So you did all that. You put all this into place for about two weeks before the
3 weeks before. So it was kind of like over the 3 weeks of the surgery. Then when they did operate, and they said to me that the cancer was only 8 millimetres. So I'd said to the surgeon, so I said, how did it shrink from 11 mil to 8 mil? Oh no, it hasn't shrunk. Oh, okay, but the scan had 11 mil, and scans aren't correct.
But you're quite convinced that
let's just go onto the internet and just check that statement. You go on the internet and check, well, hang on a minute, no scans are accurate. So yes, it did shrink it by 3 mil, but I can't tell you what protocol actually did that. I don't know.
Or if it was a combination.
And of course I've gone down the rabbit holes trying to find a cause, and they're right, you won't ever find a cause. No. You don't know whether it's chemicals or the T cells or the
diet
or the amino acids. I mean, you just don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now so that was in December.
Yep.
So we are now here in February. So how do you feel now?
I feel fine.
What was the recovery like?
Oh, that was honestly, the recovery was dead easy. They literally cut it out, sent me home, and I had a waterproof plaster on my breast that they had to keep on for a couple of weeks and take that off. Got a little indent where they've cut, because what they do is they cut out the 8 mil, but they also cut out another 8 mil of tissue around it as well to make sure that they've got everything. But they say to me that there's a possibility, this minute possibility, that some microorganisms of the cancer might escape and get into my lymph nodes. So that's now what I need to keep an eye on. Do I end up in that 8% whereby I would get cancer in my lymph nodes? So I'm going to keep an eye on that with scans and things like that.
Okay. Well, that's good. You're all feeling good now. Now, you also did something very random that not a lot of other people do because you're just weird and sometimes just gross. You then emailed them and asked them for...
I did. I said, before the operation, I said to the surgeon, is there any chance that you could actually film them cutting it out? Oh, no, she said, we don't do that. I said, oh, okay, so can I have a picture of a photo of the cancer? Yes, she said we can do that. So yes, they did. They emailed me a photo of the cancer that they cut out.
Do you?
I'm just interested. You know? I just want to know.
Do you have a message for women who have been recently diagnosed with this?
Oh, don't be frightened. Don't fear it. Work out the solution. Like obviously, some people are in a worse situation than others, but truly just work out the solution, do the solution. It's whatever fits you. Whatever your mind is happy with accepting in the medical industry or in the supplement industry, you fit it to fit you.
I also like what you've done since when you had the diagnosis and post the surgery. You also went onto the internet looking for like community groups or blogs and information and pictures, you know, of what it was, and you couldn't really find much. So you've written a blog. And you've got your picture, which we're posting on our website, just so we can share with other women,
just
because
so women know.
Yep, and that's what a lot of things are. I find like going through life, even with menopause or breast cancer, but it's being able to connect with other women or other people in general and share their experiences that can generally put your own mind at rest. Know that you're not alone going through that.
Yeah, and funnily enough, a couple of weeks back, Martina Navratilova was diagnosed with breast cancer and throat cancer. And I did a quick little search on that, and it turns out that she had DCIS 12 years ago. And she had the 6 weeks of radiation as well. So in my head, in my brain, is like, okay, it's going to come back. There is some point in my life it's going to come back. Do I make it to 80? Do I go in my 70s? Whatever my soul has decided for me, then I will deal with it at the time. And I'm not going to think about it, worry about it, consider it. Yes, in the back of mind, it's like, in most circumstances, the cancer will come back again.
Yep.
I'll try and mitigate that by cutting down on the sugars and things like that. But I just have to roll with what life comes at me.
You also used Martina's healthy lifestyle to go back to eating biscuits as well, because you did say that, you know, if it could get the most healthiest, fittest woman on the planet, then, you know.
And I thought, you know what? Why should I deprive myself of a biscuit with my cup of coffee?
It's never a biscuit, Mum. It's always half a packet. No,
not half a packet. Yeah. One biscuit with my cup of coffee. And I kind of think, well, if you put Martina Navratilova on this side of the scales and someone like Mick Jagger on that side of the scales, who's really abused this body, where's the rhyme nor reason? There is no saying who's going to get what. So just something you just got to deal with at the time, find the solution, get on with it. Life's too short. Just get on with it. Yeah, and deal with it when it comes your way.
Well, thank you. I love you. Thank you for being so brave.
Bless your heart.
All right, well, I hope that somebody out there listening to this has got something out of it. It was an experience that brought us closer together. We certainly went on that journey, and I'm very pleased to say that my mum is here happy. And you won't. You'll make it past 80, Mum.
You
will.
There's no saying.
You will, and you'll be living with me. Yeah. We've got fun times to come. Have a good day, everybody.
See you. Bye.